Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are doing well today. Just a short video today. I want to talk about the outward signs that Jesus told us to look out for, of which we can read in Luke 21, Matthew 24, and so on, right? And I'm going to read Luke 21 because most people read Matthew 24. And but I'm going to read Luke 21. Last night, here's how I tend to do a lot of studying or whatever I have to do, writing, whatever it is, like on my computer. And sorry, I got something. Just give me a sec. And if you're on a laptop, so I make a good use of my laptop because I do video editing. I do a lot of different stuff on it, and on a laptop, and guys, I don't really use smartphones, all that type of stuff. I have a ticker on the bottom where I can put my my cursor over it, and then it gives all the stories. I don't know if that's through Windows or something like that, but I think we all have something like that, right? And you see a lot of different stories. And I've distanced myself from a lot of stuff, but I'm still looking for those signs. Last night I'm just and believe me, I've said this other nights, 7.2, whether it went, they put it down to a 7, an earthquake in Russia, and I can't pronounce the place, I don't have it in front of me either, but it was in some peninsula, and they had one about a year ago go off. I think they've had 3 in about 4 years, but this one, it was a massive earthquake, which 7.2 and 7 is pretty big, but not that, but it set off a volcano. Here's the differentiation, okay? If you tell a non-Christian, someone who doesn't believe in God or has trouble believing, whatever it may be, you tell them these things, and for me it was well, look at Hawaii. Hawaii always has a flow, it's always kind of bursting a bit and stuff like that. But the reality is they don't understand that what's happening now are volcanoes that are long dormant are blowing. They're not just flowing. These big mountains in South America, all over the world, Indonesia, all these places, they don't blow their tops. I'm talking explode, like huge lava coming out like Mount St. Helens, but not, it's like Mount St. Helens, but just not to the degree that the whole side of their mountain collapses. I've followed the news all my life. You're going to say, well, that's mainstream media. That's all we had. And it was a time where there was no reason to conceal other stuff. So I followed the stuff all my life. For a volcano to blow its top off was a world event. Right? It was a world event for a volcano. So if that happened once a year, that'd be pretty cool. Or say a category 7 point, say a 7.8 earthquake went off, that was big. Look at Christchurch, something like that, right? Sorry guys, I got something stuck. There it is. I can look almost every week and a volcano, a newly one has awoken and one has blown its top. I haven't made a list. I'm sure someone's made a list. What I'm saying here is that what Jesus told us was the truth. And if we're seeing a volcano blow its top off, and there's Mount Etna, take a look at Mount Etna, I don't know, just off the top of my mind, there's about 4 right now that I know of. There could be 10. There could be 20. Anyone watching this saying, oh, I don't think so. Keep watching the news. I'm not saying you have to listen to every story. Just look on your ticker and keep looking at the news. It's the same with earthquakes. So think about it. Think of the point we were at about 2 years ago. These things were starting to happen. We'd have one and we'd be like, oh, here it comes, right? Now it's like once a week. There are days where I hear, I've heard 3 volcanoes in one day that they're talking about, that they're like really active. Ones that were never in many, many years. All together, the ring of fire, right? So, same with earthquakes. Getting earthquakes in diverse places, strange places. How about Texas? How about California? How many earthquakes are they getting there? And you say they're small, but they're getting a lot of them. Like Texas, what did they say, 125? And I'm going to give you another sign. In the book of Kings and Chronicles and other parts of the Bible, especially like Kings, Judges, when the people aren't doing God's will, God is long-suffering, right? He lets things happen against him for a certain amount of time. Then his long-suffering stops. He needs to introduce justice, right? Because God is a God of justice. He has to have it. Pardon me a sec, guys. And so if you look in the book of Kings, especially, you can see that God allows things to happen for a certain amount of time. So let's take, for instance, like, let's just say Jeroboam, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord, right? And Nebat and all that, and he lets him do evil for a certain amount of time. So let's just say it's 50 years. All of a sudden, things can happen. What happens? God sends people up against him, the people that they never destroyed, right? When they came into the promised land. Or let's just say the Philistines come against them. Whoever comes against them, right? Moab, it doesn't matter. God allows that to happen because they're not coming and praying to the Lord. And when they can't handle it, they say, please, Lord, help me. And then he sends a deliverer. If you look at the United States, you look at Britain, look what Britain just did, right? They just, they're insane. What's happening there is insane. I feel sorry for believers who live there because it's not looking good. And every other place is starting to look the same. Taking away the word church and stuff like that. And so they take, I can't burp up. It's really hard for me to, just give me a sec. I have a lot of problems with my throat and stomach, so let's look at the year 1962. I don't know what it was for Canada and other places, but they start taking the Bibles away, prayers away, those types of things. They stopped teaching that, so God is long-suffering, as I said. It's just like the book of Kings. So when you look, let's just say that's 60, so that's just say 60 years ago. He's like, okay, if you're going to do that, eventually I'm going to do this to you. You look at Britain, you look at America, and you see their borders. You see places all over the world, the Western world, right? It's the Western world that's done this. They've taken this, they've turned pretty much away from God. See, I ask myself this question. Why are not like 20 million people in the States, literally, I'm giving an honest number, marching towards the southern border and closing it themselves? Why are people so weak? You hear me. They're weak as hell. Not doing anything, not lifting a finger. I wouldn't trust in any party, because they're not doing anything. They're watching the destruction of their country. But anyways, that's a personal opinion. I think it's happening because God is allowing it. Sure, we can still make our decisions what to do, but who knows, maybe, look, it's happening all over Western society, and I can't say that we don't deserve it. The good people don't deserve it. The people who are born again Christians who believe in God don't deserve that. I feel sorry for anyone in the path if they're born again, anyone for that matter. And what I'm speaking about is illegal, okay? Illegal is illegal, you know that. Like I live in a country where, like when I go out, there's probably almost just as many, it's probably half and half white, and all the rest is all different ethnicities. I'm okay with that. It's not that. It's people who don't want to do good in society. But I'm going off base here. I'm talking about people who want to have nothing to do with your society at all. And I think that it's a judgment from God. Just like the book of Kings, like he brings people up against, if you're going to go against me, I'm going to do this to you. So if we're at the point right now, so the birth pains, I'm going to read Luke 21 in just a second. If he says there's going to be pestilences, right? Monkeypox. I just looked at images of what that looks like. They're saying it's a global pandemic now, or a global concern. It looks painful. Pox all over your body. I have a feeling that born again people who believe in God aren't gonna go through that, and if they do, then there's nothing I'm gonna say to that actually. I pray for you. If we're at the point where there's a volcano going off, let's just say it's every week, which eventually there's going to be one so big, like Krakatoa. Go look at Krakatoa. It happened in like 1862. It was heard 3 times. I think it went around. It was either 1 or 3 times the sound went across around the world, and it had a pyroclastic flow, which meant it crept along the water and went on the land, like it goes like ice across the water. Anyways, which one of these is and which one of these earthquakes that we're having, consistently big ones, which one of them is going to cause a tsunami like the one I saw on TV in, what was it, 2004? Horrific. Or like, what was it, Japan? Yeah. The signs are here. It's good to know. I keep missing my point. My point is this: if there's this much happening now, and Jesus says it's going to be like birth, right? He says it's going to be like birth. So we can count on his word. He's been truthful so far. So we know it's going to get worse than this. What are we going to have? A volcano twice a day? Anyways, it's shaping up to look like that. Give me another break. Give me a sec, guys, and I'll finish this. People are just getting more evil. I'm not going to say I know exactly what's going to happen. Just to let you know, and I hope to have this out within a couple hours, but I may not. If I don't, it'll be out tonight. I did a video about shame, and I hope this helps people who suffer with shame, because for me it was a part of my life, and it still is, and a lot of people in today's society deal with that. Anyways, that's going to be in my next video. It's good to learn what I'm telling you in that, but it's just getting more evil and more evil and more evil, and the more society is closing in on us with evil people, the more it makes God angry. He's saying, I'm coming, I'm coming. Let's take a look before I read Luke 21. The stories now that I'm seeing on my ticker, so guys, I don't pay attention to, I pay attention to the highlights. I don't read full stories unless they're like, I really need to. Let's take a look at some of the stories that are up right now that I see. So the Kremlin releases a stern warning to Germany, that's one. Warlord shows off Elon Musk Tesla Cybertruck with a machine gun on the top. These are just normal stories now. Germany's, I don't know how to pronounce that, demands an inquiry into the Nord Stream blasts. What causes monkeypox and how is it treated? There's so many different kinds of diseases that I'm seeing in this. But remember who's paying for all these articles. Why a flock of rich plutocratic Democrats want Lena Khan's head. Lukashenko makes a cynical statement about nuclear strike. Church of England takes away the word church. There's weather. It's not bad. It's not that bad right now. I'm telling you. It's mostly, I've seen so much worse than this. To tell you the truth, they're all about war. Russian volcano erupts, triggering an ash cloud alert for aircraft amid stronger second earthquake warning. And Japan just had their a big one, and they're waiting for an earthquake that has never happened likely before, a mega quake. Anyways, it's not bad right now. It's not that bad right now. Venezuelans protest across the world to contest presidential election result. Okay, guys. I just, I don't plan this, so it's all about war. And starting to read quickly. I don't know if I'll read the whole thing, but so they asked him, "Teacher, but when will these things be, and what sign will there be when these things are about to take place?" And he said, "Take heed that you do not be deceived." So if you're seeing me, don't be deceived in this time. Don't be deceived. Stay in Scripture. That way you won't be deceived. For many will come in my name, saying, "I am he." We know there's many of those. The time is drawn near. Therefore don't go after them. But when you hear of wars and commotions, so it's wars and rumors of wars, don't be terrified. I'm not. For these things must come to pass, but the end will not come immediately. Then he said to them, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great pestilences, there'll be great earthquakes in various places. famines, pestilences. Now, there's a lot of different diseases they're talking about, a lot of them. Right now, there's probably about, I would say, about 8 consistent ones that they're talking about. There will be fearful sights and great signs from heaven. But before all these things, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to synagogues and prisons. I forget if that part he's talking about is back then. But anyways, you'll be brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. But it will turn out for you as an occasion to testimony. Therefore settle in your hearts not to meditate beforehand on what you will answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries will not be able to contradict or resist. You'll be betrayed even by parents, brothers, relatives, friends. I can see that coming. I can see that coming. The way that things are going, I could literally see that happening in a year. People are already ratting each other out in England. Just like with the Nazis, the way they used to do things. You'll be betrayed even by parents, brothers, relatives, friends. And they will put some of you to death. You'll be hated. Can you imagine? They'll go, it'll come to the point where they'll be like, do you know a Christian? I'll pay you. They'll pay you, blah, 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 blah. And someone who doesn't give a damn will rat you out. That's what they did with the Nazis. I learned a lot about World War II. You'll be hated for my name's sake, but not a hair of your head shall be lost. I don't know what that means, but I never really studied Luke 21 to tell you the truth. By your patience, possess your souls. Maybe he's speaking about our souls, our spirits that will go on. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, do you see that? So that could be a double fulfillment. Then know that its desolation is near. That's coming. I absolutely believe that, without a doubt. That the whole Middle East is going to turn, let alone to see what the world does. Let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. That happened back in 70 AD, but that could happen again. Let those who are in the midst of her depart, and let not those in the country enter her. For these are the days of vengeance, and that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe to those who are pregnant, to those who are nursing babies in those days. For there will be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people. And they will fall by the edge of the sword, be led away captive into all nations. Zechariah, right? The woman will be raped and they'll likely burn everything down. But it says half of Judah will be saved, and Jerusalem will be trampled by the Gentiles until the fullness of until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. And there will be signs in the sun, moon, and in the stars, and on the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the seas and waves roaring, men's hearts failing them from fear and the expectation of those things which are coming on the earth. Think of the people who don't know God. I wouldn't want to be that. For the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to happen, look up and lift your heads, because your redemption draws near. So look at, see these volcanoes, see these earthquakes, see the evilness of the world. Look at the Olympics. That goes to show that this is international, right from the top. So we see them. You know, when people say, well, you know, they talk about years on, right? It could go for a few more years. I don't really want to give an opinion on how long, because how much worse could those natural things get? They will. I just think it's close. Then he spoke to them a parable. Look at the fig tree and all the trees. When they're already budding, you see, and know for yourselves that summer is near. So you also, when you see these things happening, know that the kingdom of God is near. Assuredly I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all things take place. That's a generation, by the way, back then. Could that be a double fulfillment? We'll see. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. I'll just finish it off and stop the video. But take heed to yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down with carousing, drunkenness, and cares of this life. We're in the world, but don't be of the world. And that day come on you unexpectedly. For it will come as a snare on all those who dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch therefore and pray always that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. That means draw near to God as much as you can. Stay in Scripture. You don't want to stand before the Son of Man and you had rejected him. And in the daytime he was teaching in the temple, but at night he went out and stayed on the mount called the Mount of Olives. Then early in the morning all the people came to him and the temple to hear him. So that's it. That's where I'm done. I'll just finish off by saying I testify that I see all these signs, and I see that they're picking up to a degree that makes you wonder what's next. And not just in the natural environment like earthquakes and tornadoes and floods and these types of things, but in the evil that we see everywhere around us. So stay in the Word, guys. God bless.